My Kate by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, 1806 to 1861. She was not as pretty as women I know, and yet all of your best made of sunshine and snow drop to shade, melt to nought in the long-trodden ways, while she's still remembered on warm and cold days. My Kate. Her air had a meaning, her movements a grace. You turned from the fairest to gaze on her face, and when you had once seen her forehead and mouth, you saw as distinctly her soul and her truth. My Kate. Such a blue inner light from her eyelids outbroke. You looked at her silence and fancied she spoke. When she did, so peculiar, yet soft was the tone. Though the loudest spoke also, you heard her alone. My Kate. I doubt if she said to you much that could act as thought or suggestion. She did not attract in the sense of the brilliant or wise. I infer 'twas her thinking of others made you think of her. My Kate. She never found fault with you, never implied you're wrong by her right, and yet men at her side grew nobler, girls purer, as through the whole town the children were gladder that pulled at her gown. My Kate. None knelt at her feet, confessed lovers in thrall. They knelt more to God than they used, that was all. If you praised her as charming, some asked what you meant, but the charm of her presence was felt when she went. My Kate. The weak and the gentle, the ribald and rude, she took as she found them, and did them all good. It always was so with her. See what you have. She has made the grass greener, even here with her grave. So this is a poem by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Let's see. Browning was a romantic poet. She's an English poet, and she came from County Durham. She was the eldest of a rich family that had sugar plantations in Jamaica and had made a lot of money in the Americas. They had had presence in the Americas since the 1650s. She had correspondence with Robert Browning, who she fell in love with, but her father refused to let them marry, so they eloped and got married and went to live in Italy. So, My Kate. Okay, this is an elegy. This is a poem about the beauty, about the characteristics of a woman called Kate, and unfortunately Kate is dead. And this poem, it's talking about internal characteristics, good characteristics, but it's talking about beauty, but internal beauty. Somebody who makes everybody she comes into contact with feel good. It's talking about the wonderful qualities that she has, although she's not this special person, not somebody who's charismatic, not somebody who is famous. This is somebody who made everybody around her feel better. She inspired faith, she inspired morality in her, and she made the whole world a better place. And this is the idea of this poem. So she's not a beauty, externally, but she's a lovely person inside. My Kate. So sadly Kate has gone. She was not as pretty as women I know. So she wasn't the prettiest of women. Yeah, she looked okay, but she wasn't the prettiest of women. And yet all your best made of sunshine and snow drop to shade, melt to naught in the long-trodden ways, while she's still remembered on warm and cold days. So, but she's fantastic. She's better than people who are made of sunshine, with the sun shining from their eyes, or snow, beautiful white skin. But all of these melt to nothing. None of these people are anything compared to her. She's not as beautiful as other women, as women made of sunshine, women made of snow. But that is something, that type of beauty is something that is forgotten. It's forgotten if it's if the snow falls or if the sun shines, if it changes. But she's remembered no matter if it snows or if it's a warm day. My Kate. And notice my Kate goes at the end of every stanza, except for the very last one. And this suggests a closeness between Browning and Kate. It's my Kate, but somebody who she loves dearly. Her air had a meaning, her movements a grace. So the way she was, it was something with meaning. There was grace to her movements. You turned from the fairest to gaze on her face. So even if there was somebody really beautiful present, somebody really beautiful in the room, you turned to look at Kate, because Kate was just this wonderful person. And when you had once seen her forehead and mouth, you saw as distinctly her soul and her truth. So by looking at her, you knew directly that she was a good person, that she was a true person, that her soul was clean. My Kate. Such a blue inner light from her eyelids outbroke. You looked at her silence and fancied she spoke. So there's this inner light that comes out of her eyes. This beautiful blue inner calm. Blue is a calm, relaxing colour. This inner calm that is coming out of her eyes. And you looked at her silence and fancied she spoke. So when she was silent, you could imagine, imagine that she was talking to you. So her silence talked to you. When she spoke, so peculiar yet soft was the tone. Though the loudest spoke also, you heard her alone. So when she did speak, she spoke quietly in a quiet, soft tone. But this was a tone that you wanted to pay attention to, you wanted to listen to. And even if other people were shouting, this was the only voice you could hear in the room. My Kate. I doubt if she said to you much that could act as a thought or suggestion. So I don't think she said anything brilliant to you. I don't think she gave you suggestions. She did not attract in the sense of the brilliant or wise. So she wasn't a brilliant person. She wasn't this incredibly wise person. I infer 'twas her thinking of others made you think of her. So it was her kindness, the kind way she thought of other people, that made you think of her. This is trying to get you to understand what type of person Kate really was. She wasn't a brilliant intellectual mind. but this was a person who was always thinking about others, always sharing love and kindness for everyone else, and this is what made you think of her. She never found fault with you, never implied you're wrong by her right. So she never criticized people. She never said that what you've done is wrong by saying what I do is right. So she never found fault in people. And yet men at her side grew nobler, girls purer, as though the whole town, the children were gladder that pulled at her gown. So this just being there, she made men more noble. She made girls purer. That everybody was happy to be with her. She just radiated happiness. So just interacting with Kate made people happy. None knelt at her feet, confessed lovers in thrall. So she didn't live in a world where there were men sitting at her feet, desperately in love with her, kneeling at her feet. Oh, Kate, no. They knelt more to God than they used. That was all. So they became more moral people. They thought more about God. They prayed more. They were better people. That she inspired morality and faith in these people. If you praised her as charming, some asked what you meant. So if you said she's a charming lady, some people just wouldn't understand. But being charming wasn't her allure, but the charm of her presence was felt when she went. So it was difficult to say why she was charming, but you knew she was charming because you missed her presence when she wasn't there. My Kate. The weak and the gentle, the ribald and rude, she took as she found them and did them all good. So everybody who met her, she was herself. She took people as she found them. She didn't hide herself, and she was good to everyone. It was always so with her. See what you have. What you see is what you get. She accepted people's faults. She didn't try and change you. She just improved people by being around them. And then finally, she has made the grass greener, even here with her grave. So, where she's buried, this place where she's buried, it's even made the grass greener because she's just such a wonderful person. And it's greener than the grass on the other grave. So her presence is making the grass happy as well. So it's talking about somebody who's charismatic, but they're not, but inside, they're not outwardly beautiful and charismatic. They're a good person. And this person inspires others. It's saying that Kate was a very strong influence in her life, and this was very good for everyone that they have. So that she revered Kate. So, My Kate by Elizabeth Barrett Browning.